our pre-holiday Inquiring Minds, I might add. I am Steve Harper, and with me, as always, is my amazing co-host, Donna Carlin. Donna, how are you doing? Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you too. I cannot believe how the year has gone by in a blink.
I know.
Like,
It is. It's kind of scary, actually. I mean, I looked up and I thought we were in April, and here we are in December. So it's. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it is the thing. So we are. We are coming up on what'll be the next 2 weeks of kind of holiday craziness, and then we're into 2024, which is sort of blows my mind. But I'm excited for us to finish up this year strong. Of course, with regards to this show, it's been a record breaking year. We've got more larger audience. We've been picked up by other platforms. It's just been an amazing year for us in terms of the show, and so I'm super grateful for that.
so am I, and I'm grateful for your presence in my life because you caused me no end of trouble. Because of you, I wrote a book, and I'm. It was a great experience. I
Yeah,
have to say, thank you for that
of
nudge.
course. Yeah,
Very appreciated, and also because of that, I looked back because I keep a notebook of all our shows. So I looked back at all the shows that we did over the year 2023,
yep.
and I thought it would be fantastic to do a recap
I love it.
of all the topics because that way, especially for our new listeners, they'll be able to say, "Oh, I want to listen to that one," and they could go back to our Facebook group and find it and we're have a conversation about it because we're always stimulating our audience to share their 3 cents online, and it's a good framing for what we've done and what we want to have happen for the
Yeah,
following year. So I thought that'd be kind of cool, and to start off with three very powerful quotes about the holidays because people have a difficult time, many people, not everyone,
yeah,
over the holidays for all kinds of reasons. And we've had COVID and we've had all kinds of challenges in the previous few years. We don't know what this year will bring, COVID wise, that's for sure. And I think it would be really good to reflect on what's truly important. So I'd like to share three quotes, which is unusual. Usually I do one,
yeah.
and then we'll go from there. How's that?
Sounds good. Yeah, I like it.
So the first one is by Roy T. Bennett. The holidays are a time where you need to be a little more patient, a little more kind, a little more generous, a little more loving. It's time to remember what matters most in life.
That's a
I
good
really
one.
love that, especially
Yeah,
the patience. That's not my strong suit. So I just I wanted to underscore that. Holidays are about experiences and people and tuning into what you feel like doing at that moment. Enjoy not having to look at a watch.
and who's that one
I,
by?
that is Evelyn Glennie,
Oh,
who I revere. I think I mentioned her in one of our previous shows, being an ex percussionist, especially. She was I think she still is the premier percussionist for the London Philharmonic Orchestra. She's the timpanist. It's very rare to have a female timpanist, never mind somebody who's deaf. And as a deaf
wow.
timpanist for the London Philharmonic, she performs without shoes so she can feel the vibrations. And she has to tune the timpani on top of everything else. So she's really quite extraordinary.
That's
And
crazy.
I
Oh,
love
wow.
hearing enjoy not having to look at a watch.
I love
Isn't
that
that
too.
like
Yeah.
that's so freeing in itself?
Yes, it is. Yeah. That's a
And the
really good
last
one.
but not least, by any stretch of the imagination, is Helen Keller, who was amazing. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. Wishing you happiness.
Mm, love that one too.
And I love that.
Yeah.
And as maybe our listeners don't know, this is our first holiday without Shadow, our dog, and it's empty.
Yeah. Yeah.
So looking at these quotes are so important because we often look at what we don't have in our life.
Yeah.
But what are we going to fill it with?
Yep.
So ask yourself that instead. What are
Yeah.
you going to fill the emptiness with if you can't be with your loved ones, or you've lost somebody, or a pet like we did, or like there's so many ways to just celebrate yourself
Yeah.
and your life and everything that you're grateful for. It's not about materialistic things, not about having, the huge turkey if you can't do the huge turkey or whatever your traditions are. It's about connection and reaching out to those who also might feel a little bit empty.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. I was talking to somebody just recently that is going to be at their family is out of state. They're not going to be able to make it back to their family Christmas, and they were a little bit depressed about it, right? And I said, this is an opportunity for you to do something different, and I gave them a couple of suggestions. Being fairly new to Austin, they were unaware of a few things. There's a really amazing coffee shop here called Mozart's that does this amazing lighting display. And I said, take yourself on a do it at night so that you can truly see the appreciation for what all the work and the creativity that they put into this. I said, but make a night of it for yourself, right? Take your journal, buy the ticket, go enjoy, some of the cocoa they make and some of the neat holiday snacks. And we started talking about these ideas, these different things that could be applied. And their big concern was Christmas, being, kind of an isolated day. Everything's closed, right? And I said, well, not everything. There are a couple of Chinese food restaurants that specifically stay open for that purpose. And I happen to know a group of people that are what they consider themselves exiled from their homelands in terms of where they grew up or where their families might be, and they have this meetup. And so I connected them to this group and said, "This is a perfect opportunity for you to go enjoy a meal, some camaraderie with people, and your perfect connection point to that conversation is." I'm missing my family at Christmas, but I'm excited to be here and be around other people that are looking for that fellowship. And so we ended up coming up with about a half a dozen ideas for them to spend that holiday season actually exploring new things, but most importantly, treating themselves to a couple of new experiences and new opportunities to connect and engage. And I really can't wait to hear how it goes, because I think that they had a different attitude and perspective about it, and they were energized about the possibility, as opposed to, like you said, looking at what we don't have or what
Yeah.
we're missing out on, filling that time and space with something that is something completely new and potentially changing.
Isn't that something? That is really something. Wow. So I'd like to very quickly review 2023 with you.
Yeah,
Now, this is a long list because we had a lot of shows. So you ready to dive
yeah,
in? Because I'd
sure,
love to hear your 2 cents, 3 cents, depending on the exchange rate today,
yeah.
um, on these shows, and like in a sentence or two max. What stood out for you, with each show?
What I might suggest is, instead of go through all 50 episodes, let's pick just a highlights for you, because I know you've got some starred, and maybe we can talk about those. And if time, just to be, sort of respectful, if somebody was watching this and be like, oh my gosh, we're going to go through 50 episodes, because I could talk for, 50 minutes on one episode.
No, that's not what I said. That's why I said few words
Yeah.
about each, because I loved them all. Like I was going through them, and like some of them are clustered. We did
Yeah.
that on purpose. Like there's never enough time. Like who doesn't agree with that
Yeah.
statement?
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
show
And who
up.
doesn't identify with it right now?
That's
So,
right. Or just show up.
yep.
Remember that one we talked about? If you don't show up, nothing's going to happen.
That's
So
right.
show up, and then see
Absolutely.
what happens. Confidence has no competition. If you're confident in yourself, forget the competition.
Loved it.
Power of questioning. I wrote a friggin' book on that one. Thank you very much,
Yep.
Mr. Harper.
Yep.
So, it's that's probably where the idea started. Towards the beginning of last year. Is my behavior reasonably consistent? That was powerful for a lot of people. They're going like, "Holy mackerel! I'm different with different groups of people. Why am I not my authentic self?"
Yeah. And,
Right.
and and quite honestly, I had feedback on that episode that people really hadn't thought about it in that capacity. They just were showing up and being, and they weren't realizing how they were being and why they were altering their behavior for certain groups or for certain individuals. And so that was an
Yeah.
enlightening episode.
And happiness can be found even in the darkest of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one really resonated with me because of everything I went through with Michael, and it was just so true. You
Yeah.
know, in the middle of hell, he would come out with a joke. I just still don't know how he did that. Believe in yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in yourself, why would anybody else?
Yeah. That was a good
Remember that
one.
one? Um, Change isn't easy. Showing up and accepting the change is the key,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So,
Especially this
and
year, a lot of people experience change, and there's been a lot of challenges out there in a variety of ways, and so change is one of those things that you have to lean into and not necessarily run from, but sort of embrace and see how you can become better because of it.
that's it. Do you remember the one, how do you stop playing it small in life so you could reach your full potential?
Yep. I'm still going back to that episode and trying to leverage that advice.
Yes, like stop, the caveats
Yeah.
or the self deprecating comments, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's never going to happen with me. I'm just always going to self-deprecate.
I don't know. You're a work in progress. What can I tell
Yeah.
you?
And for our
Um,
American listeners, that's progress, not progress.
yeah. I'm getting that more. Like I used to change my speech to American
Uh-huh.
language when I'm with my American clients, and I stopped doing that.
Yeah.
It's just um, too much effort
Yeah.
to remember to say things differently. I guess in the heat of a conversation and or the meat of a conversation, and it's amazing because if they don't know I'm Canadian, they just stop dead and they go, "What's with the about? Are you Canadian?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally stops them dead. A complaint is a demand for a solution to a problem.
Yeah. That was a great episode. I love that one.
And another one that we did fairly recently was you can't solve a problem with the same thinking you used when you caused it.
Yep. Yeah.
And I've been sharing that quote a lot with some of my clients of late.
That's right.
They're trying to solve a problem with the same way of thinking, and it just doesn't wash.
Nope.
It just moves the problem around a little bit, that kind of thing. Um, Always go with the choice that scares you the most. How often did you do that this year?
Many, many times. Still doing it.
Okay. The five whys. Remember, we drill
Yep.
down in the five whys and just to get to the heart of the situation.
Yeah,
Uh,
we've actually used that for my internal team a few times on making some decisions about why we're doing things a certain way, and you get to the end of the five whys and you start realizing some of the logic behind why we do what we do doesn't make sense. It's just the way it always has been, right?
and one of our listeners had requested us do a show. How do I confront a liar?
Yeah, yeah,
That was an intense show. That's for sure. And I think an important conversation, although we don't have all the answers, I think we had a few perspectives that will help our listeners. There's no question about that. Another one that I've referred to a few times, it's not what you are that holds you back, it's what you think you're not.
yeah, yeah,
The impression of yourself. All the reasons in the world why you don't think you are good enough or you measure up or any of that. And that ties in with another show we did, permission. Give
yeah,
yourself permission to be who you are.
yeah.
That's really something. There, you're asking me to, pick out a few. That's
But they're
next
all
to them.
good. That's the thing. That's the problem, right?
That's
Is we've had 50 episodes of solid subjects. Every single one of them yields a really interesting and unique conversation. So picking out just a few favorites is hard because they're all favorites.
yeah,
That's the fun thing about what we do.
exactly. Remember, not all advice is good advice. That was
Yes.
fairly. And boy, is that true. And unsolicited advice that comes your way on a regular basis.
Yeah, we touched on that a few times throughout the year as well. You know, sometimes all advice that you get is not the best advice for you to take and but pay attention to where it's coming from and from whom and what experience they have in order to give it.
And remind yourself that they're not you.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. What's really interesting, one of the people who reviewed my book is the owner of the villa that we go to in Italy. And I remember having a conversation with him because he and his wife had amazing careers. He was a journalist, with the newspaper here in the capital, and was a phenomenal writer. And his wife was a crown prosecutor. So, they had quite amazing careers. I still can't picture her being a crown prosecutor, but anyway, they sold everything they owned to buy this villa in Italy and open up the
Wow.
amazing routes of tours. And it was scary as hell. And they got all kinds of advice. And I'm sure a lot of people told them, "Are you out of your mind? You're
I
not
bet.
only selling everything up, but you don't even speak Italian." His wife did. He didn't at the time. He does now. And all the things that happen when you move to a tiny, tiny little village, trying to do the paperwork and everything else in a language that's not yours. And
Sure.
you could imagine. And so many people, always approach things from the fear-based decision making.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that he loved about reading my book, was about talking about whose story are you living, and are you making risk-based decisions, um, based
Oh,
on what you don't want to regret, right? If you
yeah.
don't try, you don't know.
That's true.
You try, you
Absolutely.
don't get it, then you make alternate, arrangements.
Yep.
And that was a profound conversation for a lot of people. I got a lot of emails about that one afterwards, which I found phenomenal. So, I think our shows have an impact unique to each person who listens, because the topics are so life focused.
Yep.
And I really think that it's something to consider. And I'd like to invite our listeners to reflect on a few things. So, how about if I just throw a few questions out
Yeah.
for people to consider? That work for you?
Yeah. Absolutely.
What is a favorite place you discovered or explored or spent time in?
Hmm.
And it doesn't have to be anything big, it could be the park around the corner. So, what is your favorite space? And I want people to think of that, because when things are tough and they're dealing with an incredibly stressful situation, they could recall the feeling they have in that favorite place, even if they're not within it,
Yeah.
and use it to nourish them and support them through what they're dealing with.
I like that.
So that's the first question. What's that favorite place you discovered or spent time in that you want to hold close? Okay. The next one is, who is someone who really impacted you, and how so? Now, it doesn't have to be someone famous, doesn't have to be a boss or a colleague. It could be somebody you met for 5 minutes on the street and left you with a smile,
Yeah.
or left some lasting impression. And again, hold on to that feeling, because that's what you can actually seek out in future.
I like that. Yeah. And we all have those experiences, right? But unless you're kind of prompted to go back and think of those and how many of those happened this past year, you probably
Yeah,
won't. So this is a perfect question.
there you go. How did I change? What new and different beliefs or behaviors did I adopt?
Cool. That's a good one. That's a really good one.
And you might not even see it in yourself. Be interesting to have that conversation with your friends and family.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, around the dinner table, around over the holidays around the dinner table, with the people that you're sharing it with, even if it's on Zoom, because some families get together that way over the holidays. You could have these great conversations, and I promise to post these in our Facebook page so
Excellent.
people could have those questions.
Yeah,
What was a meaningful achievement or skill acquired, dream goal realized that you're really proud of?
it's a good one.
Could you think of something for you?
Yeah, I have become more proficient at technical aspect of something I do for one of my other companies that I didn't have that skill at the beginning of the year, but now I feel that I have grown so much in that particular arena that I walk into the upcoming year so much more confident and ready to leverage that,
Mm,
what I've learned.
that's terrific.
What about you?
Okay. For me, it was starting to write again. I hadn't written a major book since 2012. I think I told you that experience was horrendous
Mm-hmm.
with the editor and publisher. I had to fire them and find another one quickly. And it turned me off writing. Well, this year, thanks to you, Mister,
Mm-hmm.
and the joy of writing again, I wrote a major book and 14 books for Book Boon
Yeah,
in 1 year,
yeah,
which was in addition to work. So I was very proud of that.
that's awesome.
So just wanted to share that. Next one. What happened that was unexpected, surprising, and fun?
Oh, that's a good one to revisit for sure.
Yeah, and how did it affect you?
Yeah.
What will I remember about my health from this year and why? Was it something that turned around so you're better? Was it something that gave you a scare? Was it something that you didn't expect you'd be dealing with?
Yep.
And how did it affect you? So that's really important. I think
Yeah.
we talked about this in previous shows, dealing with cancer twice. I had to remind myself I am not the disease. I am somebody who's dealing with that, but there's so
Yeah.
much more of you besides that. So just, something, consider all of who you are when you answer that question.
Yeah.
You're going to love this one. I could just see your mind going. What was my biggest challenge and lesson learned the hard way?
I do. I do love that one, and yes, we would have no amount of time to cover that from my
I
perspective.
think all of us are in that
Yeah.
boat.
Yeah. That's a
And
good.
one that it covers off, one of the shows that we've done in the past. What did I not find time for? And I'm kicking myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Many people will say vacations. Many people will say spending that day, you know, not doing anything, just thinking, just enjoying the day. How many of us spent this past year stressed, always trying to get to that next thing or knock that one thing off of our to-do list when really at the end
Mm,
of the day, once you got it completed, it really wasn't that big a deal anyway, and you could have spent that time doing something that would have filled your glass a little bit more full.
you know what? In my old age, I stopped doing that. And if there's one thing that I'm really proud of behaviorally that changed is choosing space.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't care how busy my day was every morning, almost without fail, unless I had a doctor's appointment or something like that. I would sit on the floor with Shadow lying on top of me to groom him.
Yeah.
And there's no way I would rush through my day. I did that every single day. I spent time to play with him in play fetch, although he sucked at that for a retriever. He was not a good retriever. Would hit him on the head and he'd look at me saying, like, what just happened here? Like it was time to write, time to be with my family, time to cook, time to do the things I love because I'm not
Yeah.
getting any younger. And I just stopped filling my day with pressures. And it actually opened up my day and my practice in a way that I'm even more successful.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of that. Um, there's no question. So I'm going to ask the audience. to look at, if you did find time for the things that are really, really important to you, that give you so much joy, how would that have, as Steve would say, the ripple effect on everything else?
Yep.
Your relationships, your health, the whole kit and caboodle. So keep that in mind. What is the best book I read, movie, or TV program I saw, or the meal that I had, or all of the above? And reflect on, what resonates with you, what's still staying in your mind.
Yeah.
That's, that's one that I look at every year,
That's a good
actually.
one. That's a really good one. I like that.
And what experience and or person am I most grateful for and why? So these are the questions that I look at every single year towards the end of the year.
Powerful. They are very powerful. Yep.
It's almost like a gratitude list and a reality checklist together in one.
Sure. Yeah. No, I think those are great. I mean, I love the approach. I like you said at the onset, you could utilize these as an opportunity to have some conversations around the holiday dinner table this year and raise them and take conversations a different way, right? Which is, I
Mhm.
think, one of the critical things that, we fall into this funk of doing what we always do when we're around the same people. This would be a great way to shake some things up around that conversation, or excuse me, around that dinner table with your family or extended relatives, and an opportunity for you to do some, internal evaluation of what your life has looked like this past year. And I think it's an excellent suggestion and a great way to spend some of the downtime during the holidays. Really looking at all these things, from what went right, what went wrong, what potential hopes and dreams you might have that are still there but didn't get accomplished this year, that you can put back on the top of the list for the upcoming year. And some opportunity to kind of reset and rebalance, which I think is really great.
So, for this list, as I said, I'm going to post it. Some of them are self reflective questions for you to really process and reflect on. The ones that you're going to share around the dinner table aren't as self reflective. So, what I would suggest, depending on how many people you're interacting with, pick five.
Excuse me.
Because you have five people, that's 25 conversations, right? It gives everybody a chance to share their perspective and their answers. So pick five. You're not going to, at most, depending on how many people you are, and let everybody have a chance to really share something amazing.
Yeah.
And for that couple that you are going to connect with other people who can't go home from the holidays, it's a great way to learn more about the people that you're with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah,
So choose a couple that won't go too personally into their lives, and will give you a sense of who you're sitting around the table with.
absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a great suggestion. I'll definitely make sure that they see this episode and are inspired to do so. So, well, this was a great recap of the year. I'm super excited about what the future holds for us both in the show, and this has just been a complete honor to do this show with you this past year, and these questions and just the different topics that we covered and the variety of topics that we covered, it's always fun. And I've heard this from many of our listeners, that every time they come to an episode, they're challenged to think differently, to ask deeper, more meaningful questions, and get engaged in conversation, not only with other people, but within themselves. And I think that's the whole benefit of Inquiring Minds, is that we are challenging you to go deeper and to think more broadly, and to look at you and where you are and what you are should be grateful for at this point. A lot of times we don't stop to think about that, but also on the flip side, what else more you have to accomplish, because there's so much more that you can do if you're inspired to do it. So this has been a great, this has been a great year and a lot of great episodes.
I agree, and I just want to wish all our listeners, and of course you, Steve, my partner in crime here, a joyful holiday season. May you find something that lights you up from the inside out. And we really look forward to hearing what the best part of it was because I'd love to hear from you all. Check out our Facebook group. You'll be able to see all our past shows from day one and comment on them, start conversations around them, and
And share
have a lot
them.
of
Don't forget to
conversations
share them.
around them. A lot of conversations around them, and just be a part of our Inquiring Minds family. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely. And just as one last reminder, when people are thinking about the Inquiring Minds family, how do they get engaged and involved? And maybe share some of those thoughts and observations that they've picked up along the way from this year's episodes or even past seasons episodes.
Well, the best way is through our Facebook group, Inquiring Minds with Donna Carlin and Steve Harper. And join the group and share your thoughts and ask us questions and share ideas for future shows. We'd love to hear. As you heard before, some of our listeners will message us privately and share in a situation that they'd love for us to address on air. And remember, we do record a little bit ahead of time. So if your request, you don't hear that show the
Oh,
following
wow.
week, no, it's in the queue, and we will definitely share it. If it's a little more urgent, let us know that too, and we'll see what we could do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well, well, Donna, thank you very much. I wish you and yours a very happy holiday season and exciting. Look forward to what's next.
same to you and yours.